I think the best way to start a review about a video game movie, and in my opinion, the video game movie, would be to just have me floss. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. This is David Stark from Watch or Pass, and today I'm here to review a film that I have been waiting for a very long time, and you have too if you've been following. This is Free Guy, starring Ryan Reynolds. It was set to be released last year, and then something happened that caused it to get pushed, and so it is now finally coming to theaters, August 13th, 2021. I just saw it. I'm all ready. I'm in my Free Guy outfit. I am ready to go. If you're lucky, maybe you'll get to see me floss. We'll see. But so I saw the movie yesterday. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the film, three things I liked about it, three things I didn't like about it, and then we'll go into the ending. So if you don't want to know about the ending, if you don't want any spoilers, then stop watching. Go check out the film in theaters if you're comfortable on August 13th, and then come back and watch this. But if you don't care about spoilers, you really want to know what happens, you want to know all the cameos and all the different video games that are referenced, then let's go. But you've been warned. So in Free Guy, Ryan Reynolds is an NPC in this game called Free City. I think it was called Free City Online in the film, but the synopsis and things like that say Free City. So I'm just gonna call it Free City. I thought it was Free City Online, but anyways, Free City is it's kind of like it feels like maybe a battle royale-ish kind of game, except there's no like 100 people drop. So it's got elements of a lot of different video games. It's got some Grand Theft Auto in it. It's got some PUBG in it, where you've got people dropping in and they've got the cool sunglasses and the ridiculous outfits. It's got Fortnite in it, where you've got more battle royale type aspects. And then you've also got, the really ridiculous outfits and the dances and some of the things that you expect from that kind of a film. It's got some Call of Duty in it because you've got some gold guns and some, ridiculous explosions and things like that. So, but in essence, Ryan Reynolds plays Guy, who is a nice guy. He's in a bank. He works as a bank teller, and his whole day, his whole goal in life is he wakes up, he goes to work, he gets robbed because that's one of the missions. People go in to rob him, and then afterwards he goes and has dinner and drinks with his best friend Buddy, who's a security guard at the bank, and he just repeats it over and over. And he's a very, very happy kid until one day he meets Millie, or Molotov Girl, in the game, who peaks his, he says to Buddy at some point that he's been looking for something more. I think he might have said love. And then he sees Millie and he's in love. And this causes him to start changing. This causes him to start be questioning other things. He changes up some of his routines, which is not normal for an NPC, as you would imagine. And eventually he secures the glasses. So all the players have these sunglasses that they wear that that shows that they are players, and all the NPCs don't have sunglasses. And so one day he secures these glasses, and that changes his whole world perspective. He starts to see the game. He tries to help Millie, but she tells him to level up, and so he has to start leveling up. But he's a nice guy, so he doesn't want to level up in the way that most of the people in Free City Online do, with violent missions and killing people and, destruction. He starts leveling up as a nice guy, helping people, stopping bank robberies, things like that. So that's the rough premise of Free Guy. He's trying to level up to help Millie in some sort of mission. And so, the things I loved about this film, first, the cast. The cast is really good. I mean, first off, I am a giant Ryan Reynolds fan. I will watch anything Ryan Reynolds does. He's one of my favorite actors. Love him or hate him, but you probably love him. He's a really good actor, and he's a really funny guy. And so anything that Ryan Reynolds is in, I'll watch, and he does a really good job. This is like a perfect Ryan Reynolds type role. He's, this over-the-top nice guy. He's sarcastic, but like in a nice Ryan Reynolds kind of way. He's very funny, especially when he starts to try to learn more about the game and learn more about what it means to be an NPC in this world, and try to break those conventions. So he's a very funny protagonist. He's very likable, and he is paired up with Millie, who's played by Jodie Comer, Millie slash Molotov Girl. And she was a surprise as well. Like, she's a lot of fun to watch because she has to kind of take on two personas. She has her real world persona and then her online persona. And I think that's a good thing that this film highlights, is you've got, and as we all know, sometimes you have a different persona online versus your persona in the game. So online, she's this badass, superhero type person with a British accent. And in real life, she's pretty badass, but she's not that badass. She doesn't have she doesn't have guns. She doesn't have motorcycles. She's a badass programmer who is trying to search for some answers in the game that she's been looking for. And then you have a really good supporting cast, a lot of funny characters. You've got Lil Rel Howery, who plays Buddy, who is Ryan Reynolds or Guy's best friend. And Lil Rel Howery is very funny already, but he's really funny as this, like security guard in this Pleasantville type of setting. His character doesn't change that much, but his cameos really compliment Guy and really kind of help to build this world and flesh it out. And then you've got Joe Keery, who plays Keys, who's a programmer on the game. And Joe Keery, you probably know him from Stranger Things, but if you saw Spree, you know that Joe Keery is a fantastic actor and also a diabolical person. In this film, he plays a little bit more of a low-key programmer, but you still get some hints of Joe Keery's acting ability, which I really liked. And I liked his character. He was a programmer who was trying to help out Millie from the inside without really, making it obvious. And then you also had Taika Waititi as Antoine, the owner of the company that makes Free City Online. Now, I didn't love his character as much, and that's nothing against Taika Waititi. He's a phenomenal actor. He's a very funny person. His character was just kind of a little obnoxious, but Taika Waititi did a great job. Oh, and then also this film doesn't just feature the main cast. There's cameos from Twitch gamers, which I thought was interesting. I saw Ninja, and then there's a couple others that you could recognize that they were professional Twitch streamers, and they had their names in the credits. I didn't recognize them because I don't watch much Twitch, but it had some really funny cameos that from people who were kind of like following the game along. And then you also had some cameos from other action stars and other stars as well. But I'll leave that to you to watch because they were pretty funny, and I really liked when they came in. So the second thing I loved is the humor. This is a funny movie. It's a very, very funny movie, and it blends a lot of different types of humor. You've got video game humor, you've got gamer humor, and then video game humor. So you've got like gamer humor, like jokes that people tell online, different things that happen in the game. But then you also have like video game humor. You've got issues with the game, glitches, you've got microtransactions and crazy outfits. You've got like someone popping into a bank with like a fur coat and like a rocket launcher and ridiculous sunglasses and a mohawk. Kind of the things that you would expect in a massively multiplayer online game where you can customize yourself with cosmetics. And you also have some basement dweller type references, the kind of stereotypical gamer who lives in their mom's basement. And so, there's all this really funny humor that comes in. But then also at the start, you've got kind of a Pleasantville type of setting because, these NPCs are in this violent world, but they see it as this like perfect place. They're so happy. And so you have this like nice combination of these characters who are subjected to terrible things, but just like loving life. And they're not that terrible. I mean, this film was rated PG-13, so nothing is too bad. But you've got, like this person, there's a bank robber, and the Buddy and Guy get on the ground, and they're talking about like, are they going to go out and get food after? Are they going to go to the beach? It's a very kind of nice contrast to the bank robbery that's happening. And the last thing, you can kind of get this from some of the things I've liked about this game, but this film, the last thing I loved is this film has a clear love of video games. Like this was made, I imagine this was made by people who played games, understood games, and loved games. If you watch my review of Space Jam, you'll know that, one of my complaints about that film is the last basketball game felt like a basketball game that was made by people who had never played any video games. Like the points were just ridiculous. The score didn't matter. There were all these moves and things like that just wouldn't really work. And so this feels like a movie played by people who've played video games because you have a lot of really fantastic video game references. You've got Easter eggs. You've got you've got weapons from other games that I recognized. You've got little quirks about video games that are funny. Repetitive humor. You've got missions that repeat, like people doing the same mission over and over again to try to level up. You've got leveling up. You've got server issues. You've got patch issues. You've got programming issues. You've got all sorts of things that are that are relevant to people that like games, and also relevant to people that, you know, maybe understand how games are made. And so that was a really fun thing that that was a really, you could really tell that the people that made this film and the people that worked on this film did appreciate games and gamer humor. And so that was, you know, something that I really liked, because you get a lot of, you know, video game movies where it's either like based on a property but you don't really understand it, or it's like based on a game but you know, it doesn't really catch the right references and catch the right history. And this film feels like it has it. So things I didn't like, there's some very minor technical things about this film that, you know, were silly, and they're more for kind of Hollywood. Again, I loved this film. This film was very fun. It was a very enjoyable ride. I was laughing out loud multiple times and laughing at references throughout the film. So I love this film, watch this film. Here are some minor things that are not important. So if you don't want to hear about them, just skip like 5 minutes or 4 minutes probably. Anyways, there were some comments that were kind of, you know, I guess there were some references that talked about like making video games and making code that didn't exactly work right, I guess. I mean, they worked for the movie, but, you know, I think there was one part where they talked about how they had to restart the server and how that would wipe everything, which I don't really think that's how it would work unless you wiped the server, which is a very different thing. But again, it wasn't that big of a deal. It's fine for the movie, and, you know, whatever, it's not a big deal. I guess the second thing that maybe I didn't love is there's a scene towards the end, and I'll get into the ending, where Antoine is trying to destroy the servers, and he does like a, you know, the thing I remember is there's an episode of NCIS where Special Agent Leroy Jethro Gibbs is trying to like stop, I think it's a virus probably, from uploading, or maybe a hack from happening. And, you know, his computer person back in base is like typing away, trying to, like, I can't stop it. I can't stop it. How do we stop it? And then Gibbs like takes out his gun and shoots the monitor, and, you know, says like server shut down or something like that, which isn't how you would stop it. That's not how you would stop it. But in this game, in this film, at some point, a character takes an axe and starts like actually hacking a server, and that causes things in the game to break. But that's not really how it would work in a video game or in a server setup. But it's okay, because it makes for an exciting film. But if you know anything about technology, or you know, want to suspend your or, you know, or you want to have some sort of accurate representation, yeah, but, you know, I get it looked like a server farm, so I guess props to them for making a server farm. And the other, you know, I guess the other thing is there's all this legal talk about the use of code that I don't think was actually correct. In the film, there's a dispute over code. You know, Keys, who's played by Joe Keery, and Millie, who's played by Jodie Comer, they wrote a program, and then I believe Antoine or Tsunami bought that from them. It's kind of unclear what happens, but that's the gist of it. And then they were complaining about how he used their code in the game. And I think if you buy the code, then it's kind of your code. You can use it as you see fit. But so there's a big issue in this where like they're trying to find their code in the game and trying to prove that it was their code. Again, it makes for an exciting film, so it's not that big of a deal. And it also explains why they don't have the game. So it makes for a good film. I loved this film. Little nits aside, don't worry too much about it. I might even cut this because it's completely irrelevant. Now we're going to get to the ending. So in the end, so what happens right now is Millie is looking for this clip that she's heard of that shows that her game, you know, the game that her and Keys made, which was some sort of like online world, like on some sort of online peaceful fantasy world where they would have rich interactions and rich AI and characters that would grow. And it was supposed to be almost like a Second Life, if Second Life was actually good and not just a terrible place that's a cesspool of humanity, something like that. But so they were trying to grow, they were trying to make this, and then I guess Antoine bought their game. Maybe he was going to publish it. I think he bought it with the idea that he was going to publish it, and then ran the numbers and realized that this game probably wouldn't sell, so he shelved it. But Millie is convinced that he used their code in Free City Online. And so she's trying to find this, evidence, and there's a clip that she's heard has the evidence that shows that their code is in the game. So she recruits Guy to help, and they finally secure the clip in a very, very funny scene with a cameo by the great Channing Tatum, who plays a super character in this game, and also there's another he has a Twitch streaming alter ego. And so they finally secure the clip, and the clip shows a visual glitch where Channing Tatum's character is like dancing at the edge of the world, and it shows the fantasy realm that Millie and Keys created popping in and out, which actually I thought was pretty clever, because that's kind of how you might find a visual glitch in a game. You would go to the edges of it, the invisible walls, and sometimes if you move around or do a specific emote, you can get little pieces of it that rendered. So I thought that was a pretty clever way to show the world. And so this lets them understand that just outside the boundary of the game, their world exists. But so Millie finally has the proof that she thought. And for some reason she's not recording this, because if she was just recording this and streaming this to YouTube or Twitch, then they would have the proof, it'd be online. But I don't know, she didn't want to record it, I'm not sure. But as she finally has the clip and she tries to secure it, Antoine, at this point, I think he knows that the clip exists, and he's also trying to stop Guy. So he restarts the server, which in this world, when you restart the server, it kind of wipes all the progress that has been made, which would be a terrible thing to do in your MMO. So I don't think anyone would ever actually do it, but he does it. So Guy, who was helping Millie, so everyone's kicked off of the game, out of the game, and Guy, who was helping Millie, restarts. So he wakes up in his apartment in his old life, with his old personality. He's happy to go to work. He's wearing the same shirt and pants. He's Guy again. And so he goes and he gets to work, and he runs into Millie, and he doesn't know who she is because he doesn't have the history. So he tries to convince him, tries to talk to him, tries to, remind him of what happened. And then she eventually kisses him, which then causes, Guy to remember. It causes the AI pathways that were built when he was learning all this new stuff to, I guess, re-energize or restart. And so he remembers everything. So he also remembers where he'd seen that clip, their world, and he saw it in another visual glitch, and he shows Millie this. It's when he messes with his blinds, when they're coming down, there's a short little sequence when you can see the island, and that's also actually a pretty clever little video game reference, because sometimes if there's a reflection or something like that, or some sort of visual effect, sometimes you can see through a few things because it's very complicated. So you can sometimes see through the geometry, see through the world. I thought that was also pretty clever. So they now have to find a way to get to this island, because it's just off of the world. They have to go to the beach, and then they have to go further out, but they can't go out there because that's where the invisible wall is. So they're trying to figure this out. You find out later they enlist Keys, but before that, they have to figure out how to stop. Once they start going to the island, Antoine's going to throw everything at them. So they have to figure out how to stop that. So they enlist all the NPCs in the world, and they have this nice Braveheart type speech where they talk about, do you want to do what you want to do? Because all these NPCs have been only doing what the game has been programming them to do. So they say, do you want to make your own choices? Do you want to live your own life? Then help us break free of this game. And so they all agree. And so then Guy and Millie are ready to go to the island, and Keys activates this. There's a few other things that are happening here, but I'm just going to try to get to the chase. So Keys activates this little routine that he's been working on, that then causes all these pieces of the building to form a bridge over to the island. And so they are about to go. They're getting ready. And then Antoine, he activates his character called Dude, who's just a beefed up Ryan Reynolds character who's like half finished. And the half finished part is really funny because, you know, he'll be saying things and then he'll be like catchphrase, like a little placeholder for something that they had to insert. And he has a few other things where like it's clear he's not a finished character, but he's just there to stop Guy. So Guy and Dude fight. And then also before this, Antoine disconnects all the characters. He shuts down all the character accounts. So the only people left in Free City Online are the NPCs. And so Millie's gone. Millie's off of the game. And Guy is fighting Dude. And Dude is much more powerful than Guy. He's made to fight, you know, he's made to kind of be this demolisher. And so eventually it looks like Dude might win, but then Guy takes his sunglasses off, which is how he gets to see the game world and everything about the game, and he puts them on Dude, and this like gives Dude a revelation. He, you know, sees all the colors, he sees the world, he's like in awe. And this is kind of when the NPCs put on the sunglasses, it's kind of how they then evolve or break further free from the programming. So Dude stops fighting, he starts, you know, looking around, appreciating life, and Guy goes to the island. He's joined by his friend Buddy, who's Lil Rel Howery. They go, you know, they're running to the bridge. The world is collapsing because, as I mentioned, as this is happening, Antoine is trying to stop them permanently. So he's taking an axe to the servers. And so as he's taking off servers, pieces of the world fall off. So like he'll destroy a server and like a building will collapse. He'll destroy a server and some pieces of the bridge will fall off. So they're racing against the clock. Eventually, Guy and Buddy get separated because a piece of the bridge between them falls off. And so Buddy, you know, essentially, Guy's like, I'm sorry I couldn't save you. And Buddy's like, this is the best day of my life because he finally got to do what he wanted to do. And then he gets Endgame, he gets Infinity War and then he gets, you know, poofed away. Infinity War poofed. And so Guy keeps running. He's about to get there, and Antoine's about to destroy the last server. So Guy keeps running. He keeps running, and then he jumps off the edge of the bridge and disappears. And flashback to the real world. Antoine's about to destroy the last server when Millie appears. Somehow she got past all security. Whatever. And she makes a deal with Antoine. She says, don't destroy the last server. You can have the code. You can have all the credits. I just want that last server that shows that what we made worked and what we made, you know, that our work produced this great NPC character. And so Antoine agrees. He doesn't destroy the server. Millie gets the server. Millie gets the game. Antoine stops, destroyed everything. So fast forward, one of the things that's been happening throughout this movie is that Antoine is getting ready to launch Free City 2 or Free City Online 2. But obviously, as with every video game launch, there are bugs and there's issues and things like that. So it's kind of a race to get Free City Online or Free City 2 online. And so you flash forward after Antoine and Millie's agreement, and you find out that Free City 2 is getting very bad reviews. Maybe a little, you know, hint to a certain game that came out recently that was very well hyped and then turned out to be a buggy mess. And apparently it's a good game. I haven't played it yet because I heard about all the bugs. I'm waiting for them to finally finish it. But maybe that's related. But you find out, and so you find out that Free City 2 is getting, you know, very bad reviews. There's some sort of investigation into Antoine. Things are very bad for him. But you also find out that this little online fantasy nice game is getting a lot of buzz. And I think it was called like Free World. Maybe it was Free Realm. If it was Free Realm, that'd be kind of cool because one of the first online MMOs was called The Realm. I think it might have actually been the first online MMO. And so that would be a cool reference. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but if it was, there you go. So we hear that this little game is getting a lot of buzz where people are nice to each other and there's no violence. And then you see Guy in this world with all of your NPC friends that you've met before, and they're all very happy. They're enjoying life. And you also see in the real world, you see Millie, Keys, and Keys' best friend Mouser, who, you know, they work together at Tsunami, and now Mouser's helping them with their game. They're working on their game, upgrading it, improving capacity. And Keys offers to get Millie, you know, Keys says something really nice to Millie, and offers to get her some coffee. He says, okay, great. And like Keys is obviously interested, and Millie's just like, great, whatever. And then she logs into the game. And you see why, because she's with Guy, or in the game, she's with Guy. And so they talk, and you know, the guy shows, you know, like basically says, you know, this is the world, it's great, this is our world, but you can't live in here. You know, she's a little upset because I think she's pretty happy there. This is the world that she built. She, you know, Guy's like the perfect character for her. And he says, essentially, I didn't get everything, but he essentially says, like, you know, you fell for me because of my programming. I was programmed as a love letter for you. But the author who wrote that program is still out there, is out in the real world. So it flashes to a video of Keys who's talking about when he's programming Guy, and he's talking about all these things that he's putting in there, but they're references to Millie. They're things that Millie loves, and observations he's made of Millie. And so, you know, he's making Guy like all the things that he likes about Millie and all the things that Millie likes. So Millie gets this realization, oh, Keys was the one for me all along. It was pretty obvious from the start, but you know, it makes for a nice ending. So she logs out, she runs out of the apartment, runs down to the coffee store, sees Keys, they meet eyes, and I think they kiss at the end. You know, it's your perfect kind of like, if it was a romantic comedy, it would be the perfect romantic comedy ending. But it's not a romantic comedy. It's a good comedy. But so they finally realize that there's something in the real world for them, and it's each other. It's wonderful. Everything's happy. Everything's great. So that's Free Guy. It's coming to theaters August 13th, 2021. It's very funny. If you're comfortable going to theaters, if you like video games, if you like Ryan Reynolds movies, I would definitely check it out. You know, watch it. Let me know what you think. Let me know what video game references you saw. I mean, I know that there's a ton in there. There's Portal references, Half-Life references, PUBG, Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto. There's probably a million others. So let me know which ones I missed. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.